My pits will be sweating.
Wear good deodorant because I'm going to be watching for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle it with one of those yellow lines and maybe like, look at this right here.
Luckily, I'll have a jacket on, so if I am sweating through that, that's going to be even worse.
It's impressive. Definitely needs to be pointed out if you're going through the jacket. Oh, yeah, baby. What's up? It's Monday. It's May 6th. It's the day after Cinco de Mayo. It's 2 days after the 150th Kentucky Derby. It is a lot of days after the NFL draft, but we are here. We still got things to dissect. There's still plenty of NFL news to break down, talk about. That's what we're going to do. It is I, Chris Simms. This is Chris Simms Unbuttoned. And it is Ahmed Fareed. He is here with his San Jose Giants gear on today.
I wear it like summer. It's a lighter one, so when the weather gets, I'm a hoodie guy. So I need to wear I always have to wear a hoodie.
Were you always a hoodie guy? I feel like you made that transition in our relationship here. It's like,
I used to come in
you went
with
to
a
another
polo,
level. Right.
And then I was just like, I'm just more comfortable in a hoodie anyway. So I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to do the hoodie. Like San Francisco, when I lived out there, a huge hoodie town. It gets cold every night.
That weather is like you need a hoodie at all times.
Gotta have a hoodie, right? With you at least.
Even in the summer, you're like, I need a hoodie. Right?
But I don't know. I just like it. My wife once called me a cartoon character. She was like, you wear the same thing all the time. I was like, that's fine.
Well, yeah, that's good.
I'm okay with that.
It's simple. I'm kind of the same way too. I mean, I have like 95 of these shirts and and blue khakis and black khakis and black shirts. That's all I do.
You don't want to think about it.
Wait, but I am like, okay, like I didn't watch the total pre-show for the Derby, right? Awesome Derby.
It was great.
Photo finish, yelling. I'm yelling at the screen, right? I mean, it really was incredible, right? But also, like, I'm going to say I tuned in about 45 minutes, 50 minutes before the main race, right? All right. Your pits were not sweaty. They look pretty good. Did you have to do some game planning? I mean, it looked a little cooler than most years.
It was cooler. So here it is.
Oh well, you got the green jacket too. Yeah, that's for sure.
Look at all those fans cheering me as I walked through here.
Right.
So this was.
Are they holding a sign that says applause or cheer now?
Yeah. There's going to be a man walking by with a gray beard. Clap for him. No. So this was about an hour and a half before I think the Derby. So I was showing where the jockeys will be walking out.
Tie. It's good.
It was the suit that I wore on Football Night in America. But I wore a vest with it at that time. But ditched the vest. It was a good. I got a lot of compliments on the suit
for the Derby and all that. And I don't care what color it is or not. I can usually see if your pits are sweating.
Yeah.
And I did not see any pit sweatage.
My forehead was not even sweating.
No.
It was pretty cool. It was like 70 something. There was a good breeze. It was a perfect day.
All right.
But yeah, we went by there. The jockeys walked through there.
That's a new area you're in there, right? That's one of the new spots.
$200 million renovation at Churchill Downs.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Have you been? Have you
No.
been to a Derby?
Can you believe that? I've never been to a Derby. I almost went this year. I did. Me and my family we talked about it a lot, but we didn't pull it off.
Should do it next year.
It's coming up.
That'd be cool.
My daughter, I think, is gonna. She'd like to go to the University of Kentucky. I think it's definitely one of her top 2 or 3 schools. So we'll see. I think we'll be there eventually.
So the thing is, I was supposed to interview.
Yeah.
The first team we're going to talk about here, it's burning questions, by the way.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the AFC today.
Yep.
And after post-free agency, post-draft, what are still the burning questions here?
Yeah,
Have they addressed all
that.
needs?
Yeah.
What are we still concerned about?
Good. Some good loose football talk, and we'll kind of like some of these questions. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of these questions, so it's going to be natural first reaction and me pulling up the teams and the rosters and looking at things and trying to piece it together real here.
So our first team we're going to talk about is the Chiefs here, and we'll try to narrow it down to the one burningest question for each team. But we got a lot from the homies as well. I was supposed to interview Travis Kelce at the Derby.
I thought his suit was one of the coolest suits out there.
And the hat,
and
the suit.
He was one of the best dressed, stars there. I thought.
And
I told Florio today,
yes.
I was like, I'd wear that suit next year. It was perfect for the Derby, yet it also looked like, hey, I was hanging out with Al Capone the night before,
that's
and I do
perfect.
have a Tommy gun, so watch out, right? I thought it was perfect.
What do they call that? Is that the double-breasted?
That's a double-breasted, yeah.
I don't have any double-breasted.
You don't have a double-breasted suit?
You do?
I do. I wore one on Football Night in America this year. I did.
One time?
Right.
Or?
I think I wore it twice, two different times. I got a gray one. I do like the double-breasted suit.
I
feel
don't
like you can't
mind
wear it all the time.
Yep.
Right? He's double-vested with some other cool stuff. He's got random buttons over there by his pectorals that wouldn't be in a normal suit.
Well,
he has a pocket
yes,
over there that would not be there, right? So this is like cool, like modern version of love the double-breasted suit, right? This is a guy that's like way cooler than we are, right?
Look at his arms in there, too.
He doesn't just wear hoodies all the time and a button-up shirt, right? He's like way different than us.
But he might want to. I don't know. Maybe if he just let loose.
This is the guy that went on Saturday Night Live and wore like the crotch sleeve. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember the crotch sleeve from Saturday Night Live?
The crotch
He
sleeve.
wore a suit, and there was like 2 sleeves in the middle of his crotch.
Oh,
remember
that's right.
that?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, it didn't catch on through the world. It didn't catch on fire,
Yeah,
right?
so he's not
the old crotch sleeve didn't catch on, huh? You only have so much outreach, okay? Kelce, we follow you and love you everywhere, but when it comes to the crotch sleeve, we won't go that far.
So we were supposed to interview him. So it was, I think, around 5, maybe 4:45 or something like that.
He big timed you. You said you're not Taylor Swift.
So I was doing one report, and
Right.
our cameraman was up there and to kind of get set up for the interview.
Yeah.
And the manager told our camera crew, they're like, I think Travis not doing any more interviews. We were like, what's going on? What? No, this has been planned for a long time.
He's had one too many
I think
drinks
that's
now,
exactly
and
what
we
happened.
crossed the line.
It was like, which you got to give credit to the manager for protecting him. But at the same time, that we had this on our rundown for days. I was looking forward to interviewing Travis Kelce.
Kelce he don't take the foot off the gas pedal though for anything,
and I don't blame him.
And that's what I love him for. He's awesome that way.
To have a fun time with his friends and teammates. I don't even know who we came with, but I did not get to interview Travis Kelce. Perhaps next year. You can do it when you're there with your family.
Yeah, good luck.
Do that.
You got it next year.
All right, so let's start with the Chiefs here. We're going to go through every AFC team. That is our promise to the homies.
Burning question on the Chiefs.
So there's going
is
to be
Mahomes still good?
Yeah. Can he do it again? So we're going to steer clear of like, can this team do it in the playoffs? Or will they win the division? Nothing like that. But like, what are the areas of need here? So Pete's put this one in here, and I think this is a good place to start. And I'll throw a couple more in here, and you do it, and the homies as well.
Yeah.
He puts who's stepping up post L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, that's a good place to start because the defense was so good last year. You wonder, can they be that good? Again, they made the decision, Chris Jones over L'Jarius Sneed, I think.
Right.
So what do they look like on the defensive side?
Yeah, I think they made a tactical decision. One, Chris Jones, pillar of the organization, like we've talked about, right? I mean, he's like definitely one of the greatest players in the history of their team and the history of that organization. So I think they do that, right, knowing that. Same with Kelce, right, and extending him last week to make him the richest tight end in football. I think those were like, they were stuck in a spot here. They were like, wait, these guys are not only Hall of Famers, they're like definitely maybe the 3 best players in the history of our franchise. We can't just let them leave, right? And Chris Jones, Travis Kelce. So a little bit of it was that tactical and going, wait, all right, L'Jarius Sneed, we like him, we do all that, but he's not necessarily like a pillar DNA of the Chiefs' all-time history, right? Awesome player, we know that. But also in that too, evaluating your team for where it is right at that second, right? D-tackle, they're not that deep. Right? That would be a burning question I have is what's D-tackle going to look like in the future? What if one guy gets hurt? I get a little scared of that. So that's where also I go, yeah, they brought Chris Jones back because they really needed him at that position. L'Jarius Sneed, like we like him, we need him because he's awesome, but they're not desperate for him at that position. Again, it's Trent McDuffie, as we know, who is all-pro caliber, right? Defensive back. Okay, then the 2 other guys that we see play a lot, but depends on what week or what game or how it plays out. But Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, those are going to be the guys, and that's what gave them the confidence to go, hey, we like L'Jarius, but we got McDuffie, and we got 2 other guys that are super talented and long and can really run and play. And then they add a value signing with a guy like Kelvin Joseph, right, who was on Dallas for a little while, 2nd-round pick, I believe, out of Kentucky. Didn't quite work out. But Kansas City has a knack of, like, kind of helping those kind of guys sometimes find their way and become a better football player. But I think ultimately that's what it is, Ahmed, at the end of the day, is that they felt good with where they were at that position, and that's where they could go, okay, we can let L'Jarius go.
They were 2nd in points allowed per game last year. I think as the farther we get away from the Super Bowl, everyone just is going to remember this as like Patrick Mahomes did it again, but it really was.
The defensive year. The whole year.
For the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
Switching over to the offensive side.
Yeah.
So we got a question here from Big Chief for 92. Do you think Kansas City has gotten more pass catchers to improve the offense? Rice will be out. I want them to target Mike Thomas in June. Any thoughts or free agent wide receivers to take a flyer on? So they got Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Hollywood Brown is there. I'm very curious to see how they fit into the offense.
Right.
What do you think about their pass catchers?
Well, I think they should be okay. Now, the Rashee Rice, I'm with you. I don't expect that to happen either. I don't know. Is it something that through the legal channels gets kicked down the road for some time, and maybe it's like the 2025 season that he finally gets the repercussions of the whole driving fast in Dallas and all that, so maybe he's there, right? But I think that's certainly a question. I mean, I think one, right, Rashee Rice there. You name the other two guys. Justin Watson's not a bad 3 or 4, however you want to say it, right? There's still hope for Kadarius Toney. They're not giving up on that. Again, I think I talked about this last week with Florio a little bit. I don't think it was you, but no. I something like they traded a 3rd-round pick from Toney. Toney is super talented, right? We sit in a room with Jason Garrett every week for Sunday Night Football. He probably said 4 different times last year, the guy is a freak. He does freaky type of things, right? So they're not going to give up on that. Okay. And then I think you do that along with, hey, Sky Moore's still around, right? And they're going to, and Justin Ross, who they have a little hope for as the guy out of Clemson who had the injuries there. I think they're going to ride with what they got here. And to me, it's not about like, are they that comfortable? I don't think there's going to be another move to be made. I don't think there will be. Maybe there's somebody out there, but I don't think there's anybody out there that I'm thinking of or missing right now.
Tyler Boyd, Allen Robinson, Marquez Valdez-Scantling could bring him back.
Yeah, that Valdez-Scantling, I could see maybe that happening. Maybe a Tyler Boyd as well. Maybe as time goes on and they start to realize my options are limited and maybe their price tag goes down a little bit.
But you'd be comfortable going to
I think you can be comfortable here.
That.
I feel like they're going to take the approach here of the Oregon Ducks. I think that's what they're about to do. That's kind of how the year ended. Run the ball, Pacheco. They're going to stay with that. I think they know that. I think they realize there's some plays to be made off the play action and all that. Mahomes is one of the greatest screen throwers in the history of football, right? Sometimes people go, well, they throw screens, the guy's arm's not that strong. No. The 2 greatest screen throwers in the history of football are Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers because the how quickly and accurately and how hard they can throw screen passes and then give the guy the chance to run up the field. I feel like we saw at the end of last year, remember we waxed a lot about it. Like, I like this approach they're doing. They don't have a great receiving core. They're not going to attack people downfield. So they kind of went run, quick screen. Okay, now you're coming up. Now we'll kind of get an aggressive shot down the field, right? I feel like that's what they're going to do here. It's going to be, run. You're worried about that? Ooh, now you don't have enough people out here by my 3 receivers. It's Hollywood Brown, it's Xavier Worthy. Oh, boom, I throw it out there, and now they're in space, right? Oh, we do that. We run, we screen. It's RPOs. As people creep up, oh, Hollywood or Xavier, go deep now. Now it's the time. I feel like that's what we're about to see from the Chiefs on offense.
No, it used to be in the NFL when you had a good quarterback. It was like you throw deep, you'd spread them all out so you could get your run game going. I feel like it's almost the opposite now. It's like teams play deep so much is that you got to prove that you can go up and down the field with the short stuff to bring everyone up, and then you can go deep.
Yeah, I feel like that's what Mahomes did. Mahomes scared the shit out of everybody when he got in the league, and they were throwing it deep. And remember, for a few years when we started working together, we were just like, they can't throw it deep. Everybody just plays deep. They're deep. And then we were like, when we got into the phase of, can they find an offense to be a little more surgical? Can they start getting like 5 and 6 yard completions? Or does every play have to be, hey, we're going to float around and wait for people downfield? They've made those adjustments. And I think that's definitely, teams have gone, I'd rather see the team go 10 and 11 plays than I'm going to man up Jamar Chase or some Xavier Worthy and leave him on the island and get burned and it's 2 plays, 80 yards. Defenses right now are a little bit in the, if we make you drive more than 8 plays, one of those plays, something bad's going to happen, and that could be our chance to get the ball back or stop you on the drive or whatever. And they're taking more of that approach than maybe the blitz, go crazy, be aggressive, maybe across the league as a whole.
Yeah, which is why we like the Browns and like the Vikings.
Yeah, exactly right. That's why we like the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a little bit of a blend of both, actually, right? The Chiefs we can play zones and be really good and pass it off, but when we need to blitz and get in your face and be kind of crazy, we can do that as well. And that's why, to your point, and you were just talking about, one of the best defenses in football last year.
My burning question for the Chiefs, I think, is how will they deploy Luis Rees-Zammit, the Welsh rugby superstar? They signed to a 3-year deal of some sort, one way or another, but it got him over on that international program. Yeah. You know me, I've been talking about the rugbyfication of the NFL for a long time. And on the kickoff, I'm kind of excited what the Chiefs, because we have seen it more from the Chiefs than any other team. Travis Kelce loves to do that. Would have had the play of the year to Tony if it hadn't been called back.
And they got two guys and these two receivers in Hollywood and Xavier Worthy that you think are fit for this. Or Kadarius Toney, again.
Imagine that.
Hey,
three-man weave down the field.
Definitely.
Chiefs just reinventing the game again.
Hey, we talked about D-tackle depth, right, for the future is certainly a question for me. And I think then the other thing to really dive into is just the tackle position in general. Right? I think that would be the other thing when you look at the Chiefs right now, to where I just go, how does that work out? Right? They lost. Donovan Smith's not there. We know they have Jawan Taylor. Right? They drafted the kid out of BYU in the second round.
Mataya.
Right? Do they make him a tackle right off the bat? I kind of thought he was more of a guard. I know they still have Lucas Niang there. Right? What do they do with the other tackle position? I think is probably the biggest burning question overall to me.
That's
for the
your
Chiefs.
number one for them.
I think that's probably
protecting Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
I mean,
just see where that goes. Yes,
okay.
That's pretty important. There's not a lot of questions with this team, as we know.
I like that. The drama. Sometimes the burningest of all questions will come right at the end of our analysis. It keeps everyone on their toes as they're listening.
I didn't mean to do that. I'm not that smart, but it just happened that way.
It won't always be like that, so stay on your toes. Let's go to the Raiders now. Vader Nation, the burning question for him or her. Who do you see winning the quarterback competition in Las Vegas? Or do you foresee maybe a potential addition to that room?
I would not be shocked here if there was another addition. I wouldn't be shocked. Now, they gave Gardner Minshew the type of money of, hey, you're a really high-end backup, and maybe you might be our starter type of a deal, right?
Yep. But 2 years, $25 million, 15 guaranteed.
Right. That tells you he's getting the first reps at OTAs. Like, he's taking the first reps. But that's not enough money to just go, oh, it's set in stone, set in concrete. You're definitely the starter going into the year, right? That is still going to be worked, competed for, whatever you want to talk about. So I don't think this is just like, oh, since you got that contract and you're Gardner Minshew, here you go, blah, blah, blah. Not at all. I think this will be a true competition, and because there's a different skill set of these guys a little bit. One's big, hang in the pocket, and not afraid to pull the trigger into tight windows with people around him and make those type of throws. The other guy's smaller and kind of wants to move, and he's slick and knows where to go with the ball all the time.
Younger, perhaps more upside still,
right?
To tap.
Exactly. Probably more upside to tap into as far as throwing the ball down the field. Like, there's a thing, with Gardner Minshew, like we said last year. Hey, he's really good, but are there plays every game where I go, oh, he should throw this or he should hit that? Yes, there is. And that's where I think this will be a good competition. But I think that it starts is Minshew in the leader house.
Yeah.
Now, do they bring somebody else?
Ryan Tannehill is out there.
Right.
Who else is out there?
Who else?
He just got roasted. Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
The Raiders are not the team he wants to go to.
Oh,
right. I don't think that's happening. Right. Brady, I know he's talked about going back, but I don't think he's going, let me find a team that doesn't run the ball that well and didn't protect that well, and they're not really that good. Oh, and they're in the AFC West with Mahomes. I want to go there when I'm 48 years old. I don't see that.
Who else?
But I think your Tannehill thing, that would be a team that I would throw in there. Like, if things don't look great, right? If things look great and they go, oh, wait, we're looking good, OTAs, we start training camp, everything's great there, they'll stay status quo. I think this is one that'll be like evaluated on the fly. But if you start to hear, hey, the Raiders are looking for some veteran quarterbacks out there, that means they're not that impressed with what practices looked like.
Yeah.
And Tannehill would certainly be the guy that would be at the top of the list.
I would think that there's got to be still pretty high, or at least, high-ish on Aiden O'Connell, because this is the coaching staff that as soon as they took over, right, and Pierce was like, we're going with O'Connell, right? He's our guy for the rest of the year.
Right.
Who knows, maybe they didn't like what they saw there, but I would think they're high on both of those guys. Hunter Bolschweiler. Hunter Bolschweiler. I think I nailed that, Hunter.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Do the Raiders have a top 5 defensive line with Mad Max, Christian Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, Malcolm Kuntz leading the charge? And so this was one of my burning questions. I mean, they're 15th in yards allowed per game last year, 9th in the NFL in points allowed per game. So they're pretty good on defense. But with Christian Wilkins, 4 years, $110 million now in Las Vegas, how strong are they?
Well, they did it, with a lot of coaching last year, right? As you've always heard me say. They Definitely were void of big-time talent on the defensive side of the ball. When that's what Max Crosby attacked me about at the Super Bowl because he didn't like that I was saying that. But there's no doubt that they have a chance this year to be better. Or I'm not going to say, like, I got to see it a little first, right? That's what I would say with this question. Is it a top 5 D-line? No, of course it's not right now. But does it have the type of potential to be in that conversation? I do think that. I won't deny that. I mean, you know what I think of Tyree Wilson, who didn't get to play a ton last year and was battling back from a foot injury, and I don't think ever really got to his total self. I think he has superstar type talent.
It's a big year for him.
Big year. He's going to have to show that this year, right? But if he turns into the Myles Garrett type of presence that we think he might be able to turn into, and then you couple that with Crosby, and then, of course, one of the best defensive tackles in football, no doubt about it that they'll be in that conversation. I don't think there's any question.
So, for me, you look at the offense and how bad it was last year. It really was on every metric. 27th in yards per game, 30th in rushing yards per game. You mentioned it, not a great running game. 30th in average time of possession. They drafted a right guard in Jackson Powers-Johnson. You got Brock Bowers there. I mean, Alexander Madison is there now as well. Like the offense was so bad last year. I don't know how it gets. The burning question would be, how does it get much better? Or has it gotten much better?
No, I don't think it's gotten a ton better. Right? I think, hey, Brock Bowers, the addition there, the couple with the tight end, and you just look at, hey, Jacoby Myers with Devontae Adams. That's a pretty good group there. Now, is it a group that's going to scare people with speed and all that and big playability? I don't think necessarily that, right? I think Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams are like, damn, they scare us for a lot of 10 and 15-yard completions, right? But it's not like, again, some of the guys we talk about where it's like, wait, this guy could catch this and then run 70 more yards for a touchdown. We're worried about him. That's certainly, I think, something to look at within their offense is that right there. Like, who's the guy that can make a big play? You know, who's the guy that is going to be able to catch a screen or catch a slant and, you know, go 50 after the catch? I think that's certainly something there. O-line, it was the big question, right? O-line, when they took Brock Bowers and we were sitting there in the barn, like, hey, I like Brock Bowers and all that, but I was sitting there thinking they're going to take an O-lineman, I think, here. They
that
got
Washington guy, Fatanu,
yeah, right. I thought some of the
board.
ones that were on the board at that point, you thought certainly there. The other guy the Saints took just a pick after from Oregon, Fuaga was there, right?
Oregon
So that's
State.
where I was kind of expecting them to go. But I think, like, you know, your point, the offense, where does it go? Running back is be a big question. Can Zamir White, like, pick up and be like a Josh Jacobs, like force at running back, like he was 2 years ago at least? You know, there's a lot of questions here. I think you kind of offensive playmaker, O-line, what's the running back look like? Can the defense take the next step, right? Well, in the D-line. And then my other thing, too, that I think is worth bringing up here, and the one thing that I think that jumps out to me a little with them is, you know, their secondary. Their secondary is unproven. That would be the one area I look at and go, man, you're going to play the Chiefs, right? You're going to play Sean Payton in an attack there, you know, Justin Herbert, that company. And not that it's a bad group they have there, but is there a shutdown guy? Are they good enough? Are they mature enough? They have a lot of young talent, too, that they can, you know, play awesome football like that all year long? That's a question for me.
Of all those questions to you right now, in May, what's the burningest?
I think the burningest would be still the quarterback conversation. Where does that go? Who wins it? Right? Are they even going to be comfortable with either one of them? That I don't think that's crazy. I don't. And again, I think, you know, a lot of these moves and what were made was because they thought, oh, we're getting Jaden Daniels before the draft. And then, I mean, before free agency started, I think they thought, we're going to make a play. We're going to get Jaden Daniels. We're going to get Jaden Daniels. They were all in on that. And then they realized, oh, shit, we're not going to be able to get Jaden Daniels. He's going number 2. We're going to have to trade our whole team away. And they thought they were going to get Michael Penix. And they're sitting here now and like, oh, no, we're definitely riding with Gardner.
Like, can Brock Bowers play quarterback? They panic.
So we'll see.
All right, so that's your burningest there.
I think so. It's still the quarterback thing.
As we move on to the Broncos, is this your burningest question with them? Is Bo Nix the immediate starter? Is that where you would land for the Broncos?
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. I like, it's a team that we know is not set up yet. Like, the O-line's not perfect. We know. Receivers, it's not perfect, but I still think there's a lot of good there. And Marvin Mims showed the ability to be, like, kind of superstar-ish last year. And we know Cortland Sutton's back, right? There is a little toughness. I like their running backs. We saw that. Defense. What are their questions? Okay, how do they replace Justin Simmons? Okay, that's not that big of a deal. They got, big-time pass rushers on the edge that are kind of like no names, but are kind of damn good in Browning and Cooper and Bonito, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it is. It's just like, how does this quarterback situation get settled? Bo Nix, I think, is picked, liked by him. One, he's a perfect system fit, and he's mature, ready to go, and played a ton of football. I would think those are all the reasons that Sean Payton liked him, let alone it's like what we talked about. His skill set is made for the offense. So, this is definitely one where I expect him to be the day one starter and them to go through a few bumps and bruises along the way to kind of get him up to NFL speed, but I don't think there'll be that many bumps along the way with this guy.
Yeah, you got Bo Nix there. You got Zach Wilson there now. You have Jarrett Stidham,
right.
Ben DiNucci. Imagine after all this, Zach Wilson goes there and wins the job. And wouldn't that be just an incredible twist? That's why the NFL is so great. There's so many potential storylines out there that are super interesting. But you expect Bo Nix to be the guy. T. Cool Hand wants to know, do the Broncos have enough offensive line talent to keep Nix upright enough to make a difference in this offense?
Yeah, I think they do. I don't look at it and go, I think the protection was better than it gets credit for last year, even though I'm going to say it wasn't perfect. It was better than what people realize. I think I don't have a burning question, I don't think, about their O-line. Like, hey, Garrett Bowles, I know it's not like great, but it's still, he's had years of being good, McGlinchey, same type of thing, right? They overpaid for him, but he's still damn good. I'm not totally concerned with their offensive line.
Because I tried to look at some of the numbers too, the free agents, acquisitions, subtractions, everything to kind of formulate some questions. I was kind of shocked at least on paper, how poor the Broncos were last year. They were 26th in yards per game on offense.
Yeah.
They were 29th in yards allowed per game on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did not. They
and
were
they
below.
Well below.
They did still hang in there, but they were well below average statistically.
Well, I think
both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they were. Now, I think both sides are better than what they did, but they had moments of, this is why Russell Wilson's not there anymore.
Yep.
Right? There was too many plays where we broke down or whatever, where we're like, hey, this guy's open. Why is he looking at the rush? Right? There was games of like they had to manage things because I don't think he could give his full attack, on offense with Russell Wilson. Now, the defense down the stretch played better than way better than the statistics. The statistics are skewed because of the early year disasters, right?
Yeah.
The Miami game where they put up almost 1,000 yards of offense, like that skewed everything. And the week before that against the Washington Commanders was a lot of big yards, right? So it was that. But as the year went on, and as we know, they got after that bye week, they got to Buffalo and upset Buffalo. The defense started to hunker down and gave people issues. I mean, it did. So you look at them week 10 through 18, I think their numbers would probably be drastically different if you just coupled it off that and chopped away the start of the season.
All right, so that's the Broncos. One more team to talk about out west, and that is the Jim Harbaugh-led
Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers. My burning question for them was, can he transform them in year one and give Justin Herbert a running game to take some of the pressure off of him? Last year I was looking at their the rushing yards. They were 27th in rushing yards per play, 25th in rushing yards per game, so not much of a rushing game. When you have Justin Herbert, sometimes you just rely on his right arm, which you can't deny that. That's a good strategy. They signed Gus Edwards.
Yep.
Signed J.K. Dobbins, which is real funny. It's just like he went to his brother and was like, hey, do you know anyone out there that's like good?
Well,
Who can I get?
And Horvitz, the GM, he came from the Ravens.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's just a lot of commonalities and links there to Baltimore, let alone they're brothers that were raised in the same school of football, right? So they have the same thoughts, and they're going to see the game the same way in a lot of ways. And the Harbaughs, it's about being big and physical and overpowering people that way. So I mean, I hear you. Your thing is the run game. Can they get that going?
Can they do enough?
I think so.
In the run game?
I think that'll be the number one thing they try to do. That's
Joe Alt there now.
Exactly right. I mean, Joe Alt, our guy at left tackle. What the hell is his name? First round pick.
Rashawn Slater.
Rashawn Slater. Excuse me. I was going to say Slater, and then I chickened out. The kid they took from Boston College, Zion Johnson, right? I mean, they got people there where you go, wait, they could be ass kickers. And we like their draft. It was a good Harbaugh-ish type of draft, his type of guys. There's no doubt about that. I think when I look at them, the big questions to me are, one, a little bit of, can Bosa and Khalil Mack and guys like that show up again? Can they do it in the same year, right? Can that group kind of be dominant? A little bit of that way. Like, can Derwin James, Bosa, and Khalil Mack live up to their contract and that type of thing? All right. And then I think the other thing that just jumps out to me as you look at them, I think is an obvious one, is just that who's the receiver that's going to pop out?
Yeah, there we
Who's
go.
it going to be, right? We knew they weren't going to take a receiver at 5, right? But we thought receiver at some point in the draft, and then again, they're not a receiver, we got to have that type of football team in the front office or the head coach.
We just look at Michigan, right? It's just
Exactly.
like Roman Wilson was a very talented wide receiver,
Right.
was not used that much in the offense. So Jim Harbaugh is saying we can win. We can be successful in what we want to do on offense without the superstar wide receiver.
He's definitely going to take that approach. He's not worried about that, nor do I think like we've talked about, he wants that guy that's going to be a pain in the ass and yelling for the ball and I got to get my touches and all of that. That's not what he is.
DJ Chark is the highest. He's got 23 receiving
It's a great
touchdowns.
sign
That
by
is
him.
the most.
That was when I saw that.
Of any Chargers receiver.
That just happened, I think, Friday or Thursday
Did it?
was that? That to me, again, that's them. Here's a guy that has big-time superstar type speed. He's had some injury issues, but to me, that's the good person to couple with this group. Again, he's got a chance to be a big play guy. But yeah, who's the guy? Does Quentin Johnson take that big leap? We know Joshua Palmer's pretty consistent, good player. And then, of course, they're going to find a niche for Ladd McConkey, as we talked about. But yeah, there's still got to be a go-to guy within the offense. My money would still be on Quentin Johnson as that guy when all's said and done. But yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Made a few moves in the defensive secondary to kind of limit the other team's pass catchers. They got Christian Fulton there. They got Alohi Gilman, former Notre Dame safety, and then took his former teammate and Cam Hart in the 5th round from Notre Dame.
Right.
Tarheeb Still, 5th round out of Maryland. Got Junior Colson there at linebacker. So yeah, some new pieces in the defensive secondary for the Chargers could help.
Yeah, it definitely can. I mean, again, they're a team where needed an upgrade there. Fulton, I think, is pretty damn good football player, can play some man-to-man, right? We know Asante Samuel over there, but I think there is another position, like secondary, corner, definitely something you can question with the Chargers right now.
Yeah. All right, so we close the book on the AFC West. You ready to do that?
Yeah.
You ready to move on now?
Yeah, ready.
Let's go to the Houston Texans now. Let's go south. Will the pieces on defense gel is the first question that Pete has put here in the rundown. And Tex Jack says, should the Texans be concerned about their interior D-line without a superstar at defensive tackle? So a couple defensive questions on the top of mind of Pete and Tex Jack.
Well, one, here's the positive things about like the Texans and their team and adjustment of new players. And this is part of the beauty of why you run the scheme they run. And some of the teams in football believe in that, is that like, hey, you come here, there's not a big learning curve, right? There's not that. So you could come here and like you could play D tackle or D end, and we just got like 2 rules for you. And it's just follow those 2 rules and then just be crazy, right? And that's where head coaches and D coordinators like this defense. Is that, hey, Robert Saleh, I come the head coach of the Jets, and hey, my whole team, they know the kind of the scheme and the rules right away, and we're already like a damn good defense, right? You see that. So that's the aspect of that's encouraging as far as having new guys there. Now, we know, like, hey, Danielle Hunter's going to be an ass kicker. Yeah, I think there's enough there. Here's Danico Autry is they don't want huge run-stopping D tackles there. That's not what they believe in. They're a little bit more in the belief of let's get guys who can shoot gaps, right? Cause chaos, win their gap with explosion, do all that. And like Danico Autry and Fadu Kasi are going to be those guys in the interior part of the defense. They got a Mario Edwards as well that can go in there and has done it all as far as a defensive line is concerned, can play all those positions, right? And then it's okay, who's maybe the big okay, we're playing a team that can run the ball. Who can be the run stopper? And that, to me, it would be Tim Settle could be that guy, right? Is the pure, like, nose tackle, shade nose. Or the McTelvin Agim, the Arkansas kid, another stout defensive tackle type of guy. But I think there's enough there. I do. I think they're going to do it with bodies and waves of people rather than just like, we're just going to have two guys here that you can't move all the time. I think it's going to be kind of a mix and match of who they're playing that week and kind of how they want to attack that position.
So would you be more concerned with the guys in the secondary? Because they had a lot of injuries last year for their DBs. Right. A lot of players played. Derek Stingley had a better year last year, was able to be on the field. But then you got Jeff Okudah back there. They drafted the rookie and Kamari Lassiter to play nickel.
Right.
Jalen Petrie back there, Jimmy Ward. What do you think about the DBs?
I'm okay with their DBs. Stingley looks damn good, right? I'm not ready to say he was, again, the number 2 pick of the draft or whatever he was that year, right? But it's damn good. I think there's a lot of good there. There's a team, again, that wants to play more zone than man, right? But that was a luxury we talked about last year, is that they could play a little bit more man than I think D'Amico Ryans had done even in his 49ers days because of some of the corners they had there. And then, hey, they're going to take a shot on Okudah, top 5 pick, right? Let's see how that works out. He's definitely a starting caliber corner. I know he hasn't lived up to the number 3 pick. Hey, we're going to take a shot with C.J. Henderson. Long, kind of built for the Seattle type of scheme. He makes sense there too. We know he has like big time ability. So no, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Here's my burning question with them, right? And you said Jimmy Ward. I like Lonnie Johnson Jr. is a good value guy, right? And we know Petrie's a starter and a damn good one at that. My question is handling success. It's year 2. Year 1 was great. We came in here, new energy. We caught everybody by surprise. You ain't catching anybody by surprise this year, right? How much is the foot on the gas pedal the same way, right? I used to be in years where I could just tell you, right? We would be years in Tampa and we had a good year, and I could tell you the offseason was going to be easier, guaranteed. Like coaches were like, we made the playoffs. I'm not going to put my foot up everybody's ass this year, right? It just happens. Oh, we went 6-10. Oh, the foot's back up my ass again. And every day is torture and the coach is on edge, right? Do they keep that same edge? Again, that's just what I would say. It's a younger football team. Now there's some new pieces along with it. They're all going, hey, we're the man. Hey, we got C.J. Stroud. He's him. He's next. He's still over in Japan and Beijing right now, a Bleacher Report, right? They're getting thrown like, whoa, we're big time. People like us. Can they handle that? That really is my big question. I don't have a lot of roster questions with them. The D-tackle thing would be about the only one I'd worry about at all.
The only thing that I'm interested to see kind of on the offensive side, obviously, is CJ and Stephon Diggs.
Exactly,
that relationship
the whole
there.
crew there.
And I think, too, with Stephon Diggs, you see this in the NFL sometimes, and it can go either way, it seems. It's like, is this a career rejuvenation, or is this the beginning of the end for Stephon Diggs as being like a one receiver?
Fair to say. I know. I'm with you, too.
I don't know which way it's going to go.
Where does it go? I'm going to say it puts a fire under his ass, right? I'm also going to say that there will be a fire under their ass to get him the ball and show that we made this great move, and look, we got a number 1 guy and all that, too. So I would expect it to go that way. But, yeah, that to me is the big question with them.
Yeah.
Year 2, quarterback was awesome. Everybody's been kissing your ass and throwing rose petals at your feet all off season. You're going in around Houston. Yeah. Oh, you guys are the best. Oh, what a year. Okay. All right, but we know there's going to be some teams, very highly motivated to knock you off your perch.
Well, one of those is the Jacksonville Jaguars, exactly the opposite, right? It's like what you talked about, a team that was in the playoffs and they had a miraculous comeback win, and it's just like now we're here, destined to win our division, more favorite just as much as any team in the NFL last year. Yep. And now they got that boot up the rear.
Yeah, exactly. See, look at you, boot up their rear. It's there, right? No,
I had to figure out a way of saying that.
Yeah, in an Ahmed way. You're an Ahmed way. Good job. Yeah. You did that. I mean, new D coordinator there in Jacksonville, right? Pass rush, I think, is a big thing, big question. Okay, but we saw Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker did turn the corner last year. He did, right? But I think, like, hands down, okay, the number one question and where the number one issue was for them last year, right? Their defense is better and should be better and didn't perform up to its capabilities, and I think that's why they made those changes on the defensive side of the ball. But the big thing is, and they told you this with their offseason signings, is the O-line. Their O-line sucked last year. The year they went to the playoffs, their O-line was one of the better O-lines in football. They were running the ball on Will, and they were protecting Trevor Lawrence. They couldn't run for jack diddly shit last year, and then that made them one-dimensional, and they didn't protect all that well, and they had some injuries and things go on, let alone they had lost people in free agency from 2 seasons ago. And, yeah, Trevor Lawrence regressed. He got banged up. He was trying to play through those injuries, and it didn't look the same. So that, to me, is the big question, is the O-line. Them going out to get Ezra Cleveland, them signing Mitch Morse as a free agent from Buffalo, those were big signs to go, okay, we got to help our franchise quarterback here if we want to have a chance to win the AFC South.
Brandon Sheriff still there at right guard. So, yeah, Travis Etienne and company, they were 30th in the NFL last year in rushing yards per play. In the red zone, they scored a touchdown about 50% of the time, tied for 21st, so they just could not function as a complete offense last year.
How about Cam Robinson was hurt.
Yeah. How about the pass catchers for them, too? Because they got Gabe Davis.
Yep.
Drafted one of your crushes in the draft, Brian Thomas Jr. You were higher on him.
Yep.
Oscar904 says, how will BTJ help the Jaguars offense?
I think they needed him desperately, right? I'm not mad at this pick. I know there was other positions maybe they could have looked at, too, here. But to me, what BTJ will do, okay, I like that nickname, too. He's going to open up everybody else. That to me is the big thing here. BTJ is one of those guys that, as we talk about all the time, I think as we get into a few weeks in the year, he's going to keep D coordinators up late at night. They're going to be a little bit like, oh shit, like this guy, he can go to the house. He's like one of those guys Chris Simms talks about all the time. He can run by people, catch a short pass, and see you later. And I think that's like, they're missing that aspect. That's where they were playing coy and trying to be cute with the Calvin Ridley situation. And his whole, like, if he signs after this date, we don't have to give up the same draft pick. They got burned by that. And I think they realized, wait, hey, like, Devin Duvernay is good. Christian Kirk are good. But, like, not when they have to be our number one guy and we got to formulate the offense around them.
Well, no, we like one. Gabe Davis is number one.
Gabe Davis, right? Exactly. Another guy you don't want to be that guy. So now you go, wait, these guys are better when another guy's the number one guy or the defense is focused on the other guy. And now these guys take advantage of their role, their situation. And I think that's where, to me, it was paramount to get that kind of receiver like Brian Thomas Jr.
Any concerns about Trevor Lawrence? Was last year just a function of him having to do too much? Was he falling into some bad habits?
I think it was all a little bit of all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, doing too much, couldn't run the ball. You and I talked about them. They got to find ways, remember, to throw the ball down the field. That was our complaint. Remember during the season, I kept going, hey, listen, they got I like the meat and potatoes of their offense. They got all these ways to throw the ball 5 and 10 and 5 and 10 and 5 and 10. But everybody knows all they do is throw 5 and 10 and 5 and 10 and 5 and 10, right? That was our big thing. They got to find ways. We were saying this like in week 10 or 11. They got to have a few plays every week that they draw up in the dirt that go, we're calling these plays to stretch the field, take a shot downfield, create an explosive play, right? So, that is one aspect that they need because, like, we talk about great offenses make you defend the whole field. And I think they got into a spot last year where it's like, wait, we're running and then we kind of throw the ball right here and we don't have to worry about the rest of the field when you play us, right? And that's where I hope it can change. And I'm not worried about Trevor Lawrence. I'm not. Trevor Lawrence is, without question, one of the most talented quarterbacks in football. And, last year, hey, was it his best? No. But was it bad? Absolutely not. Did he still have special moments? And like we talked about, it wasn't exactly like, the greatest support, protection. And I think because of the way they played and not being able to run the ball, right? We had a lot of weeks where Calvin Ridley dropped balls that the game would have been different if he caught the ball, right? But there was that. And I think he took a little bit of the wait, we're not as good as I thought we were going to be. We got to do this. I got to force the issue a little bit. I got to start to make plays, right? And I think that led to some carelessness and some moments for Trevor.
And really, Trevor Lawrence has still one of the strongest necks in all of football. And you don't bet against a guy with a neck like that.
You don't bet against big necks like that.
You don't.
No, not at the quarterback position especially.
You know who else has a big neck at the quarterback position? Anthony Richardson
He does.
of the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
We should have a neck off with those guys, right? If you were to have a neck off in the NFL with quarterbacks, who would be on your list?
Oh, I mean,
Trevor.
Mahomes is up there.
Good neck.
Mahomes' neck and Lamar.
Oh, great neck.
I mean, a great neck.
Yeah. How's Josh Allen's neck?
Yeah, it's like country strong, but not on that.
Yeah.
Not that. It looks like it'd be good on the farm and whatever else, but it's
Yeah.
just not quite to their capacity.
You know how we normally do your top 40 quarterback and then I do my side thing?
Right.
What if my side thing this year, instead
Is
of
neck.
the brawl, is the neck off? We have a neck off with quarterbacks.
Do the necks. You do butts in the regular season and you do necks in the off season. I like that. People are going to question you and they're like, "This guy's weird.
Yeah.
He likes butts and necks. I don't know about this guy."
Pete thinks that Will Levis is going to be a dark horse in the neck off.
He's got a pretty good neck. He does. I would agree with that. Wait, he was one. Who was the other? Justin Fields got a pretty good neck. Hey, Dak Prescott's neck is a real deal. Right? You'd have some work here. This is not just a slam dunk.
Are there too many good necks to make it even impossible to sort through all the good necks in the NFL?
No, there's not enough. I think you need to sort through it. I actually want to see the.
All right, let's get to someone in that conversation with Anthony Richardson with the Colts. That's got to be the most, for Colts fans out there, it's like, what do we have in Anthony Richardson? Let's keep him healthy. Let's see what he can do. Because there were some promising things with him at the quarterback position, although there were also some things you're like, is this going to work in the NFL?
Yeah, I think
passing accuracy-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I liked what I saw. I mean, I think it is all going to work, right? I do. It's just about, hey, how much of the offense can he run, be a part of? Does he hit the ground running and hitting on all cylinders once again? I think those are the things maybe you question or wonder, like, how quickly does all that happen? But overall, with this football team and where they are and how they're coached, I mean, I expect them to be good. I expect them to be a damn, a pain in the ass. I do. The big thing that we've questioned about the Colts, and I think I still have this question overall, and hopefully this is where their first round pick can come into play, right? We've talked about offense, like, at times with them. Is there enough big play guys? I think with Anthony Richardson in the lineman up and his arm and his running ability, and Jonathan Taylor's healthy, right? And Michael Pittman Jr. is really damn good, right? He's not necessarily like big play extraordinaire, but damn good. They got all of that, but I think when Richardson's healthy, that makes them all more big play capable, if that makes sense, right? I like the Adonai Mitchell drafting. We know we love that, right? But the big thing to me, and I feel like we talked about more than anything with them last year, was, can somebody on the defense make a play that's above and beyond? Can somebody ever make a big play in a big moment? Does anybody ever get a sack in a big moment, right? I feel like for the last 3 years, it's like if Kenny Moore doesn't get a pick six or force a fumble, nobody does anything in the Indianapolis. And I know that's not like true, right, like to a T, but I think as a general statement, I don't think I'm that far off there. That they need some guys, and hopefully that's where Latu can come into play here, to get a strip sack fumble late in the game, force a fumble late in the game, do something early on in the game. To me, that's the element that's been missing with Indianapolis as far as getting them over the hump there a little bit.
Now you've got a couple of disruptors on that defensive line, and DeForest Buckner and Latu. Yeah,
right.
I would agree with that too. But yeah, because offensively, you're right. It's just like they've got some guys who really could pop. Like Richardson could go off, Taylor could go off, Mitchell could go off.
Right.
A lot of people thought highly of Josh Downs, who was a third rounder last year for UNC.
Right. They got a little bit of everything, and then you couple that, like you're saying, that, hey, Richardson's running the ball and all those design runs and his scrambling, all of a sudden Michael Pittman Jr. is going to become more of a big play threat because of that. Because teams are going to be, hey, creeping up the line of scrimmage, we got to stop this, we got to worry about this, right? And then with Shane Steichen and that offense, they're going to run the ball. They got a pretty damn good offensive line there in Indianapolis, right? That to me would be the big thing. I don't know if there's anything else we're really missing, or that I feel
the obvious one, will Joe Flacco lead another AFC team to the playoffs, right? I think that's the obvious question for the Colts.
Right.
If and when Anthony Richardson does get hurt.
Yeah, well, hopefully he doesn't.
Hopefully he does
right?
not.
I did get to see him at the Combine, and he is a, well put together specimen, that is for sure. But hey, what I look at, DeForest Buckner, I know they re-signed Grover Stewart. You got Kwity Paye on one side. You got Latu on the other side. You got Sansom Ekubom still there, right? They signed Raekwon Davis, who I think is a very under-the-radar, good interior defensive lineman from the Miami Dolphins, right? So I think they had a pretty good offseason free agency draft, coupled with, as we saw, a team that didn't wow us with star players last year, but we were sitting there late in the year going, they could still go to the playoffs. And, I expect them to even be a tick better than that this year.
I'm starting to feel a little Colts. I've picked the Colts in years past, and they burned me. So I've got a little bit of PTSD from that, but we'll see. I don't know. I kind of like them on paper.
I hear you. This division's, when you break it down a little more, it's very even. I don't look at one. We know Houston's in the leader house, but it's not to a point where you just go, oh, they're definitely going to run away with it, at least not in my eyes.
Speaking to a team that I don't necessarily like as much on paper, let's go to the Tennessee Titans here.
How dare you.
They've got some questions for Benji P16. His is, will Levis take the next step in becoming a franchise quarterback? In parentheses, then, Benji says, I think this is the most obvious and relevant question for the Titans. He has declared it. What do you think about Will, first of all? And then Bill
was shocking to me last year, right? I questions Will a little bit of his feel for the game overall, knowing, remember, he had all the great physical talents, big, strong, can run fast, can throw the ball hard.
You thought maybe too big and too strong.
I did. I thought a little too much of that. I thought there wasn't enough of a, variety in passes, right? That was my problem, right? Which I still think I even still do question.
Sure.
But damn, how could you not like what you saw from Will Levis? And honestly, one of the better Kentucky Derby outfits from the weekend.
Did you see? I did not see him.
He was dressed like an old school, 1920s kind of had that hat on, and the vest, and looked like he was, here it is.
Oh, wow.
And looked like he was looking for Babe Ruth at the end of a baseball game to be like, hey, champ, you got two good cuts on the ball today. What'd you think?
Yeah.
Why didn't it go over the fence, champ?
Or looking for someone else to murder them. That's also
or that could be that
Capone.
too. He could be part of the Irish mafia and maybe killing somebody later. You're right. You don't know. He could be a bootlegger and he's joining forces with Kelce, and you don't know what they're doing. Illegal activities.
Here's the thing. You look at all those NBA suits back in the day when we were growing up, and they were all baggy and hanging off them. This is definitely like a baggier suit.
It's like that old school. It's baggy around the legs a little bit.
Wonder if that's going to come back.
Too. I think I could sport that, but I think that was a damn good look. It really was. But
he's impressed you on and off the field.
On and off the field. Now,
is this the second part of his question?
Yeah.
I think this is the most obvious and relevant question for the Titans. Do you agree with that? There's a certain thing you could make it about quarterbacks on every team because it's such an important position, but
the Titans have a few questions.
Here we go.
I mean, it's, new regime for sure, right? We've kind of hit on this as, hey, the receiver position, right? They got enough playmakers there on the offensive side of the ball, right? I think we definitely dive into that a little bit. Now they got Calvin Ridley, sure, that helps out. They're replacing a Derrick Henry. There's more good, I feel like, when I look at the Tennessee Titans team than you realize, right? I think that's the big thing. But I think Will Levis is up there with one of the big questions for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
let me throw this at you. Cortland 858.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No,
you're about to say something.
I'll go. You ask the question.
Don't forget what you don't forget it.
I won't.
Don't you dare be like, I was going to say something else, because the homies will yell at me. Cortland 858 says, who do the Titans need to add to get any kind of recognition? Sign the top wide receiver, center, and corner available in free agency. Drafted your top-rated left tackle, but still projected as bottom 10 team. My feeling looking at the roster is kind of like in fantasy. Sometimes you do the stars and scrubs strategy, where it's just like you spend all your money on the two top guys in the draft, and then you just try to find depth guys after that. I almost feel like the Titans did hit it out of the park. You got a big time receiver, and you got Tony Pollard, but it's did they have enough of the meat and potatoes in the middle of there to support those stars? Would be my question.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah.
Make good adjustments like our guy asking questions on the offensive line. No doubt, center's going to be better. Got my man J.C. Latham. Right? Latham, excuse me. Yeah. I always want to say that.
Yeah, we need a nickname for him. So
I mean,
JC.
Again, Sneed coupled with Chidobe Awuzie, right? Pretty damn good group right there. Roger McCreary's damn good as well. I think the biggest question, okay, and we know they got Tavondre Sweat. The D tackle position's good. I think pass rusher is better than people realize, right? That'd be one I'd look at. I think the O-line will be improved this year just because it's the Callahans, okay? But the other question I have, if I just look at their whole roster, is middle linebacker. I think that's the other big thing. You know, they lost the guy, Aziz Sayer to the Houston Texans, right? They replaced him with Kenneth Murray, who certainly was a little bit of a disappointment with the Los Angeles Chargers. And I look at that part of their defense and go, yeah, I'm not sure. I got to see it to believe it. Who's the guy there? Who's going to dominate? You know, do they have a real presence in that quarterback position of the defense? I don't know. I think you couple that with, hey, Levis, new system, new coaching, new style of play, right? How's that work out? Those will be the two things that, jump out to me more than anything.
We got to pick one. The most burningest of the questions is
the middle linebacker position.
The middle linebacker.
Yeah.
Defensively.
I feel like Levis is going to be good enough and serviceable enough, even where if it's not like, oh, wow. I don't think we're going to be looking at it and go, well, Levis is the problem. I don't think that's going to be it, right? It's just about how good is it going to be. I think that's where he got me to go. Like, is it going to be like, oh, shit, he's top 10 in football good this year? Or is it going to be he's in 11 to 20 range, right? That, to me, is where I kind of feel the season goes with Will Levis. But here's the other thing I was going to say. No,
this is the thing that...
Here's the thing I was going to say, too, right? That other receiver that pops up.
Yep.
Who's that going to be? Like, I like DeAndre Hopkins. He was really good last year. We got into that, right? We know it's Calvin Ridley. All right, we know Hopkins can still do some stuff there. But as I also know through my history, like guys like that, like every year there's a difference once you start to get past year 9 where it's like, oh, shit, like, damn, he lost a step even from year 10 to 11, right? And then it's almost inevitable at times, right? So who's that other guy, though? If he's not quite himself or if he's banged up, does Treylon Burks show up this year? Who is it, though, that they're going to be able to count on at that position? And by the fact that they have 900 receivers on their roster tells me they don't know, right? They're like literally like, we know we got these two, but we have no clue who else can help out. Let's just sign a bunch of them, and hopefully somebody could do it. More than likely, it'll be our Westbrook Akine.
All right, as we go to the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens just signed a bunch of and made moves on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And so let's start there with the Ravens. One of their questions, perhaps it'll be the most burningest in the mind of Chris Simms, maybe not though, is the offensive line overhaul a concern? So we have a graphic on the offensive line starters from 2023 to 2024.
Right.
We're looking at 3 significant changes here.
Huge changes.
John Simpson gone.
Right.
Zeitler's gone. Morgan Moses gone. Roger Rosengarten is one that they drafted to replace. You got Ben Cleveland there. And then you got Andrew Voorhees in. So first of all, what did you make of the complete overhaul by the Ravens?
Well, I mean, like we talked about last week, right? They were one of those rare teams that were like, damn, they were good, but damn, they do actually, for a really good team, have some holes to fill and figure out here, right? Now, O-line, I think we talked about them before the draft, too, a little bit, is a little bit of like, hey, they know things about how guys look and all of that. And here's our projection. If you're watching on our YouTube page here right now, like Voorhees, he's the kid. Do you remember him? You're going to remember once I tell you. I know you're sitting there going right now going, I don't remember. He's the guy that got hurt was it his pro day or the combine? He got hurt at the combine. And they drafted him in the 7th round going, he's way better than this. He's here. We don't need him this year, but next year we might. So let's do that. They kind of did this with Jawan James a few years ago, if you remember, when he got his injury with the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
So Voorhees is just getting healthy and going to be playing.
Out of USC, was a 5-year starter there.
Right.
Okay.
Like he was definitely a mid-round pick who didn't get picked there because of the ACL injury. Right? Stanley being back, great, but Stanley's been hurt a lot. So that's scary. Linderbaum, awesome. Ben Cleveland, great. Now, the right tackle position, is that definitely the rookie, Rosengarten, right? I mean, this is, to me, the burning question with this football
This is
team.
it.
I don't think there's any doubt here with this one, right? There's a lot of good. They got everything you want. This is a team, just like we were just talking about with Harbaugh. Well, here's Harbaugh East. They want to be physical. They got to protect their man Lamar. And they're not a dink and dunk throwing the football team, right? They want to throw the ball down the field. They do. right? So that is the big thing. How do they feel about Falele, right? We talked about him a few weeks ago right before the draft. Do they think he could be the starting right tackle here this year, or is it Rosengarten? To me, it's just how it plays out. How do they get the best 5 on the football field, and where does it go from there? That's kind of what I think I look at more with the Baltimore Ravens.
Raven Wizard says, is King Henry enough for the Ravens to get over the hump and to win the Super Bowl this year? And Mel Vogelsang says, Ravens, does losing a lot of coaches matter for them? On the defensive side, Mike McDonald gone, over in Seattle now. How will that change things for Baltimore?
It does. It all change. I mean, Baltimore is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Last year
in points allowed.
Last year was the year, though, guys. Like, it was the year. You were supposed to win the Super Bowl last year. And that's where it hurts, right? And, what was the first part of that question? Let me just see if
it was like King Henry, Derrick Henry.
I mean, he's going to help. But I'm not going to sit here and just go, oh, wait, he's going to blow it out of the water. And now this is going to be like a whole nother level.
Yeah, do we trust what's going on there offensively for the Ravens? Because last year it was Todd Monken was brought in to kind of revolutionize Lamar Jackson, give him a little bit more of a passing attack. And now you bring in Derrick Henry. It's just like, are we sure they're going to be able to design an offense that really best suits what they have and not necessarily as some preconceived notion of what they should do?
Yeah, well, hopefully they learn their lesson, right? Hopefully they learn their lesson. That would be the big thing. I mean, the way they approached the AFC Championship game, I think the way they approached the whole year was wrong, right? I mean, you heard me all year. There was a number of times where I went on Sunday Night Football or here and went, run the ball, Baltimore. Run there. Instead of trying to, we can throw, and we got OBJ, and we drafted Zay Flowers in the first round, and we paid Lamar $250 million, and we got to throw it now, and we got Todd Monken here. So we got to throw. And it's like you just talked about. They kind of came out with no, we're going to win the game this way, instead of just going, wait, we need to win the game just to win the game. Like, what is the best way? Not go, we're going to do this and then win the game. It's like, no, we got to do whatever we got to do that week to take advantage, and you didn't take advantage of. We just talked about the Chiefs and the D-line and lack of D tackles, and they need more help there. They were worried about themselves. That's why they signed Mike Pennell late in the year. I mean, and they let them off the hook and decided to throw the ball all game. I hope they get back to running the football here. Yeah. I think it's when they're at their best. I think it suits their defense the best, and I think it's when Lamar is at his best. I'm not saying they got to run it. But I think it should be very balanced, if not run first, and I think that's when they become the most dangerous in their passing attack.
Yeah, Pete notes here in giant letters, 6 running back carries in the AFC Championship loss. And if you're watching on Peacock or YouTube, you are seeing those stats right now, where it was 31 in just the previous game. So it's not like they didn't know that they could have success doing that. They just had a game plan that didn't utilize that, and then they were sitting at home 3 hours later.
They predetermined their game plan.
Yeah,
I think that's the big thing. And yeah, I just I don't get the approach of what they did there in the AFC Championship at all.
Over to the Browns.
Yeah,
their burning question. We're trying not to do quarterbacks for a majority of them, but how do you not with this one? For at least it's like Deshaun Watson. Will he ever return to his elite Houston Texans form on the field?
I don't know. I mean, this is it. This is a big year. I mean, with this football team, what's, like we've talked about in the past, right? I'm just pulling up their roster and their draft and all that just so I have all the info in front of me here. But, what do you got to question with them, right? What is there to question? Can their O-line stay healthy, right?
Right.
Can their Jerry Jeudy show that he's worthy of being traded for and the future receiver, right? Can they show me they have the best defense in football again? I mean, there's not a lot to talk about here.
I mean, they did show last year that even without an elite quarterback or even an under 55 years old quarterback, I don't exactly know how old Joe Flacco is, they still are a playoff team, a playoff caliber team.
They are definitely. Well, that's how good they are, right? They don't even they're so good that they don't even need a superstar quarterback to be in the playoffs. Their team is amazing. Now, Watson, with the trade and the contract and all the things we've talked about, yeah, this is a big year. It is, and I'm definitely like, I guess to a degree, question how good he can be, where it's going to be. It's another year where he didn't get a lot of playing, right? I know last year I feel like I was more hopeful last year than I am this year. Last year I kind of went, okay. Now it's like a full nother year.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and then last year again, like, he never got that chance to kind of turn the corner. He was kind of in the process of turning the corner, and he got hurt. So where you kind of went like, ooh, we're starting to see some good things. And then it went, buh. And so now, to me, it's like, can you take a step forward, or did we go back a little bit, and then we're just going to do our best to get to kind of where we were last year again?
You had him at ranked number 9 in your top 40 quarterback countdown last year. You said good things about him after the Hall of Fame game. You thought he looked good. You said you could have a good, and then he got hurt again. So, Jameis Winston waiting in the wings to be this year's Joe Flacco. For the Browns. Anything else here?
No,
they really don't have. You're right. Jerry Jeudy would be the one thing. It's like another weapon outside of Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy, there are people that think they can do some pretty good things on the football field.
Definitely. And couple that with David Njoku, and they still got Cedric Tillman, and they drafted in the, what was that, the 3rd or 4th round 2 years ago?
Let's have a healthy Nick Chubb year. I would love to see him run all year long.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the question. Maybe that's the question, really. It's who, if Nick Chubb, I don't expect him to be totally himself, who could be the stud running back to start the year, and can Deshaun Watson get back close to what you said with the Houston Texans? I think that's the thing there.
All right, Steelers, as we're moving on through here. Arthur Smith, a Tyler Wake question here. One of the homies has tweeted in. The big question is not quarterback like everyone thinks. Oh, I like this already. It's the Arthur Smith offense and whether they can get the run game going.
Yeah.
I like the way you're thinking, Tyler Wake.
I do too. I don't think there's any doubt. And then you couple that with the new offensive line that they got here.
So Troy Fautanu, they drafted.
Right.
Fell to them.
Yeah.
Great pick. I mean, I think some people thought he could be the second offensive lineman off the board.
If you told me he was going to go number 10 to the Jets, I'd have been like, oh yeah, I'm not surprised. I think that could happen, right? I think the league loved him. I'm sure they were shocked. I think, like we talked about, that he was still on the board there.
Zach Frazier, also center,
like him, no doubt about that. Going to add some attitude to that football team there.
And you have an angry Najee Harris because they declined his 5th-year option,
right? Which I think it was an obvious decline. Right? You're not going to, we've been arguing, is he even the best running back on his football team, let alone we're going to just give him a 5th-year big contract? Absolutely not, right? So he's got to show it this year. Hopefully this is the year he can show it. Hopefully this is the year that their O-line, shows themselves to be a little bit back of like the Steelers in their heyday here. I think there's some pieces and there's some possibilities here for sure, right? With the guys they had in the draft. And then, let me just say this, okay? To our question and our at Tyler Wake. Don't worry about that. That's not where they're going to be able to run the ball. This is why I like the Arthur Smith hire here. Arthur Smith can run the ball no matter what, and especially if he has a quarterback that can throw the ball better than Desmond Ridder, which I think he's got 2 of them, right? That's the problem. It was never, can the Falcons run the ball or do anything like that? It was like, can anybody respect their passing game and drop the to get the running game and have some space? That was the big problem. So that's where I really like it. And I think that Russell Wilson is made for that type of offense. Run the ball, play action, run the ball. Ooh, play action, big shot down the field to Pickens, right? And that's what he is. I don't think Russell Wilson, he's proven to us the last years, he's not surgical, going to be 32 for 40 for 400 yards, and it's going to be 45 touchdowns and do all of that. He's best when he was in that Seattle way. Kind of play through the defense, we manage the game, and Russell, when there's big plays, we know you'll strike when that happens, and we call a big one, and he's a great down-the-field thrower. I think that's why it all fits. That's why I kind of like this whole Arthur Smith thing here.
I mean, I really hope that they use Justin Fields as some sort of a weapon in the run game in this offense. I think it's a wasted asset if you don't use him.
Yeah,
because do you really need him? Because you do have Kyle Allen on your team, and he's more of like the backup type quarterback.
Sure.
You still have one of those guys. I think it would be such a waste to take what you have said is maybe the best running quarterback.
No, there's no doubt.
It's a weapon.
Yeah.
And if you have an offensive line that you think can run the ball, and you got a quarterback that can run like him, I think that would be a wasted opportunity if they don't use him in the run game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he has a package.
You're on the fence about it.
I think they got to be careful about causing issues. I think that's the first thing. We got to create unity here. We don't want it to be we're 1-1. The offense is still getting it going.
Yeah.
We bring out Justin Fields. Oh, he ran around the edge for 70. Damn, okay. Offense, hey, we're winning. It's 17-13, but the offense is still in great. Hey, we bring Justin Fields in again. Damn, we went down. Whoa, he broke another big run. Hey, should we start Justin Fields next week? Should we? That's what I think they got to be careful of a little there. They got to find their spot to do that. That's all I worry about.
That's a good problem to have. What's the biggest problem we've had? Justin Fields running for 70 yards down. No, but I think it could, in that situation, you could look at it the other way, where it could take some of the pressure off an offense that's struggling, right? It's like, okay, everyone would be talking about how crappy this offense is, but at least you got Fields here making some plays.
That's where they got to gauge the right spot to do it, how it works, whatever. But I'm with you there. And didn't Jalen Warren last week say Justin Fields should return the kicks, that they've been talking about that? I believe he said that. You were at the Derby, but he said that the special teams coach has floated the idea of Fields being the kick returner. Right. So that would be really damn cool.
That would be awesome.
Burning question for them?
Number one.
I mean, yeah, we know the quarterback thing, but I'm not really worried about that. I think it's just how does the wide receiver group shake out, right? Who can present themselves as the clear number 2, right? I think they got a lot of possibilities there. With, of course, our guy Roman Wilson, who I think you and I both think is like NFL ready. Mm-hmm. Van Jefferson could be that guy, right? From the Los Angeles Rams. He is very good in that way as far as a professional, really good number 2, number 3-ish type of receiver that can run routes and do it all that way, right? Calvin Austin III, is he a guy that can pop up and be a regular part of the receiving rotation there? He kind of showed up more and more as the year went on last year. I think that's kind of the big question for me. Is there another question, that I had? I think I'm not big on their DBs, right? They're corners, right? I know everybody likes Joey Porter Jr. and all of that, but to me, my other question with them would be, can they play man-to-man against the really good offenses in football? And I'm not sold on that. Joey Porter's got attitude. He's certainly got a role. He's had a damn good year. I get all of that. But you get to the rest of the names at DB for them, I just go, okay. All right, so who's covering T. Higgins when you play Jamar Chase and them? Or who's covering the other guy?
Hopefully
that's
T. Higgins won't
about.
Be there is the question.
That's what they're hoping for.
Which really is the question for the Bengals, as you've made that transition for me. Thank you.
No problem.
Go over to the Bengals now. Can they keep the band back together would be one of the questions that you'd be asking here. T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson as well. Where are we with that? Do we know? Is there any update on?
I don't think there's been anything new other than Trey Hendrickson wants a new deal, right? Mm-hmm. He wants a little spice or a little spicer upper, which I get because he's in a spot right now where he's like, wait, I'm in another class. And let's not forget, I think Trey Hendrickson was second in the NFL in sacks last year, 17-something sacks or somewhere along those lines. So, yeah, he's feeling like, wait, Joey Bosa's making 2.5 times more than me, and wait, how many sacks did Bosa have last year? Oh, that's right, not even close to me. That's right. So that's what he's saying. Bosa had 10.5. He's like, yeah, that was 7.5 away from me, right? So he's not cool with that. I get that. When we pull up their draft too here as we sit here, I like the draft. I think they were one of the sneaky good drafts that we had here.
Amarius Mims, so they're beefing up their,
that
more of a developmental guy, but I don't think they need him to start right away anyway, so that's good.
Yeah, there you go. We like the
Jermaine
Burton and Chris Jenkins, right?
DJ Reader gone to my Detroit Lions right now, so you try to get maybe a replacement or some depth there. Jermaine Burton, the burner.
I mean, he's the Tyler Boyd replacement. He's perfect, right? I think that's a great, draft pick by him and a guy that I think is NFL ready right away. Another team where, I sit here, I didn't have anything written down as far as like the burning question.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't look at anything on their roster. I think the only thing you look at all is just D tackle. Yep. I think that would be the only thing you go like, hey, how's that going to work out? And like we've talked about, is Chris Jenkins start right away? We think he's game ready anyways. B.J. Hill's there, right? They got the kid Zach Carter from Florida who plays a lot, and I think he could be part of filling that role there. But, I mean, after that, I don't know if there's anything how they maybe orchestrate the offensive line. Can they find a way to get Mims, Trent Brown, and Orlando Brown on the field together? I don't know if that's possible either. Their interior O-line play it's not bad, right? When you talk about Karras, they have Volston, right? The South Dakota kid, I think, at guard.
Cordell Volson.
Volson, right? And then they still got Alex Kappa, right? But I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. But again, this is a really damn good football team.
Nicole Goforth says, if Burrow can stay healthy, do you think that the Bengals can win the division? Now, we're not doing division guesses yet.
No.
We got months to do that.
Yes, of course.
But they're in their conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
there's no doubt that they're in that conversation. I don't think I need to break news here or anything. I mean, I think they're a team that's in the Super Bowl conversation, the Super Bowl window. I definitely do. With that quarterback and what they got around them, no doubt that they're going to be a player in the AFC.
One more division to talk about. That is the AFC East. And I like that Pete did this.
Was that your burning question with the Bengals?
Mine was defensive. Yeah. What do they look like without DJ Reader there and at defensive tackle?
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Because we're the same person now. I've been around you long enough to where it's just like I can anticipate what you're going to say and say it before you. So I sound like the smart guy. The AFC East, Bills. Josh Allen, who will he throw to? Scarecrow Boat says, have the Bills done enough to make up for the loss of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis?
Yeah, they have.
So they got Keon Coleman. They drafted him.
Right.
You got Curtis Samuel.
Exactly.
You think that's enough right there?
Yeah, look, Khalil Shakir really came on strong at the end of the year, right? And then you talk about the two tight ends, and I think Dalton Kincaid's role in the offense goes way up, right? Dawson Knox is a damn good player too, right? We'll see. Maybe does a Mac Hollins hit, which Mac Hollins is going to make the team, right? I like him, right? Again, a bigger body that can fly down the field. They need that element. I think it's the same reason they got Chase Claypool. We'll see how that works. KJ Hamler's that guy too.
Those are flyers
they
with
took
talent.
Flyers with talent that we're not
yes.
sure if it's going to work. So let's get three of them. Maybe one will work.
But
right?
The thing I'll say about those flyers is like some flyers you take, you're just like, oh, he's always had talent. It's just we've never seen it. Like those guys, we've seen it in NFL games.
We've seen it. It's just about, can they be consistent, professional, whatever it is. They've all had their little challenges here and there.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like this is going to be, and then the other added thing to that conversation is Dalvin Cook and his passing game and what he is. Like I think that's going to continue to grow
James
as well.
Cook.
Yeah, James Cook.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to continue to grow. All right. So, they're going to do more of, I think they're going Kansas City approach. They're going, wait, we got a good enough quarterback that we feel like we don't really need a number one. If you just give us a lot of good 2s and 3s and we give him some good system answers, this guy will make it work. And then we can spread things out the rest of the roster.
Dr. Snarky was along those lines. He goes, does a team truly need a number one wide receiver? And if not, can it be an advantage over defenses? # Bills Mafia.
Well, there is advantages. Right? We talked about this in years past. This is my big argument when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl against the Eagles that year, right? Remember, Tyreek Hill's not going to be there. Oh, my God. And I was going, the thing that's going to work for the Chiefs is you're not going to know who they're going to throw the ball to now. 3rd and 4. Back in the old days, it was like, okay, where's Tyreek Hill? We got to double Tyreek Hill. They called a play for Tyreek. We got to stop him. Then it was like the next year was like, well, I have no clue who they're going to throw to. Who are they going to go to here, right? Damn, the last 3rd down, they had 2 other receivers on the field. This 3rd down, then there's a different group. We don't know. So there is some of that for sure, right? So we don't know how to play them. Do we play we're just going to double the slot because they throw the slot all the time in 3rd downs, or we're going to actually double a certain player they think we're going to feature no matter what? So I think there's some benefit to this. There was another point I was going to make there, but go ahead. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so this seems like all things that you're not too concerned about. So is it defense that would be your burning question? Is that what we're looking for?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were good last year despite all the injuries. I mean, Sean McDermott, they did an amazing job last year.
He's an amazing coach. He is. No,
they were 4th in the league in points allowed per game.
Yeah, they're they've been doing it too much with coaching on the defensive side of the ball. There's not enough studs up there. That's why when we get in the playoffs, their defense never looks like that. Oh, Mahomes is going up and down the field? Oh, yeah, I thought this was the number one defense. No, it's not. It's because it's coached up, right? And it's so great, but now we get in the playoffs and we know the teams and the quarterbacks are good, and now, hey, it's the playoffs. It's lose or go home. Hey, we'll call this play because, hey, we got to take a chance. We got to push the issue, and they get exposed. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's my big question with, like, the Buffalo Bills is, like, who the f*** is the baller on the Buffalo Bills defense? Who is that? Who? You tell me. Like, do you have somebody you look at? They have a lot of good, right? I don't want to discredit them, okay, in any way. But, like, when I ask you that, who is it?
It's like someone that would take over a game, or when you need someone to take over a game, like a TJ Watt,
right?
Like it's got to, like they drafted as though it was going to be at some point Ed Oliver or Greg Rousseau,
exactly. Right, and it just hasn't quite hit, and they're good. Don't get me wrong, right? I don't, no disrespect.
Yeah.
Like, but that to me that's part of, like, we've always talked about the receiver and the sizzle, and somebody's got to make some plays to help Josh Allen, and we've also had this conversation. Like, the defense is allowed to make a play to win the game, right? Like, am I right in saying this, right? Like, out of all their losses last year, I think every one except one of them, like Josh Allen, when he walked off the field, they were winning the game. And then when he left the field, they lost, right? It was like it was a staggering number where it's like, no, they were winning last time he touched it. The other team got the ball and he never saw it again and they lost. But we blame Josh Allen, right? And yeah, that's what sucks. So that to me would be, you know, I think that's the big thing to me. And that goes throughout the whole defense, right? Right? Like, there's no more Tre'Davious White. That didn't work. Christian Benford has outperformed their first-round Kyer Elam, right? Teron Johnson's awesome. We got the safety issues, right? Because there's no more Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde.
Drafted Cole Bishop in the second round.
Who I like. And, I mean, he's going to be an instant, contributor. But
Von Miller, not the same.
No, so can he pop up and be that guy? Right. Von Miller was looking to be that guy before he tore his ACL 2 years ago in Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's my big question. I hope I didn't rant on that too long. No. And I'm certainly not trying to cop out there, but I think that's my issue with them overall. A lot of good, like a lot of things. Matt Milano being back and healthy will be big. We can't forget that. He's the best player on their defense, right? He's probably the only guy that I look at to go, yeah, he can make some crazy plays that go above and beyond. But who else pops out that way? I don't know. Hopefully somebody shows up this year.
That is the burning question.
Yeah.
For the Miami Dolphins, their offense was no question last year, at least for most of the year. First in total offense, first in passing. I guess the question is, can they sustain that? My question for Miami, are they better built for winter? That was mine. Have they done anything to address their winter problems?
Right. Well, or like, I'm a similar thought, right? Or can they be any grittier and tougher this year? Florio brought this up, today, because this was my complaint about them towards the end of the year, right? I mean, you remember I was going, hey, I like the Dolphins, I like all that, but it just seems like every time a game gets a little ugly and it becomes a fist fight, the Dolphins lose, right? That was my problem. And they won one of those games last year, and it was against Dallas. And guess what? We had the same questions about Dallas. When the game gets ugly and it's a little ugly and they comes to the fist fight, Dallas seems to lose. They both played each other, and the Dolphins did it that day, right?
Oh,
yeah, the Dolphins did it that. It was Christmas Day. Yeah, that was Christmas Day.
Yeah.
They won a close one, 25-24, something like that. But I think that's my big thing is, they lost some attitude, some dudes.
Yep.
Center, right? Lose Hunt, lose Christian Wilkins, lose Raekwon Davis, lose Van Ginkel.
They lost a lot.
They lost a mother lot. That's right. And they lost some of the dudes that I would go, these were their tough dudes, right? Yeah. So that's what I think I worry about them with a little bit.
Yeah, Wilkins gone, so now they signed former Lion.
Yeah.
Benito Jones.
Right? They tried to do it with a bunch of people.
They signed like a total of 6 defensive tackles
exactly.
here. They still have Zach Sealer there, who started all 17 games last year. They are pretty strong in the defensive secondary, you'd have to say. Right? Kendall Fuller they signed.
Yep.
Jalen Ramsey, got Javon Holland back there. Cater Kohu.
Yeah.
I
like all that. I mean, it is. They got some ballers back there in that end. I saw them yesterday at the Grand Prix. I saw Odell with Jalen Ramsey and Jalen Phillips, and I could see all of them, right? But the grittiness and toughness thing also goes into like, hey, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips aren't going to be themselves early in the year. They're not, right? That's why they drafted Chop Robinson at 21. They were like, oh shit, we got an ACL and an Achilles tear, right? For guys that are important in our defense, like, what's that going to look like? So it's the grittiness, it's the toughness, and it's like, who are some of these young guys that are going to, pull the workload a little bit until some of these veterans get back healthy and feeling like themselves.
I mean, they do have perhaps the coolest wide receiver room of all time.
They do.
I mean, like, right, Tyreek Hill, Odell, and Jalen Waddle.
It's cool.
Like, the number one coolest.
It is cool. We spent a lot of time talking about Odell today. Like, it's a great spot, right?
Yeah.
It's a great spot. The field's going to be open. He's not going to have a lot of attention. People are going to be on Tyreek and Waddle and all of that. But it also could be a spot where it's like, no, you're definitely the third. Like, you're definitely the third. You slip up, you hurt an ankle, somebody else plays instead of you and has a big game. Like, oh, shit, right? So there's like a little bit of a good and a bad there. But I'm not surprised to see him there. One, Mike McDaniel loves those personalities and those type of stars. He's cool with them. He knows how to make that all work, right? And as I've been saying on PFT, every famous person in the world is trying to move to South Florida right now. Everybody.
Oh.
The whole world wants to go to South Florida. And that's where everybody is. You name it, they have a house on Starl Island or this island off of the beach. I mean, that's where everybody is. Every rich person I know in Greenwich, they got an awesome house down there in South Florida.
So this is the problem, right?
Well,
and the rich,
it's the new hit spot.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily gritty, right? And that's exactly what the Dolphins need.
They're going to Grand F1 for, F1 races and stuff like that. But no, I think that's my question, right? And we'll see where they're going. We know they're going to be good. It's how good's the O-line going to be, and did the defensive line take a hit without Christian Wilkins?
Jets, 2 teams left here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about everyone around.
Let's talk about Jets, baby.
Aaron Rodgers.
Let's talk about you and me.
Real Aaron Jagger says, can Aaron Rodgers rekindle his MVP form?
Yeah. I mean, I hear you there.
That's the most interesting question for sure for the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, the Jets, the talent, the team, it's up there with anybody in football. I mean, there's not going to be like a ton of roster questions here. You're not going to be like, whoa, they have a real void here. It's like, okay, O-line, can they stay healthy? Can they figure out the right 5? That's like, well, you talk about. Mm-hmm. Does the first rounder, Fashanu, end up breaking into the lineup somehow, somewhere? Or is it a year where he gets to kind of sit, do something like that? I don't know, right? But
either way, they're probably okay because I think he can go in and play pretty well.
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, you look at, they get Hassan Reddick to add to one of the best pass rushers in football already, right? I mean, you talk about their D-line. It's scary good, their D-line.
Jermaine Johnson, Javon Kinlaw, former first-rounder. Quinnen Williams, former first-rounder. Hassan Reddick. Wow, so you got 3 former first-rounders.
Yeah.
I don't know where Hassan Reddick, he was more under the radar, yeah?
Yeah, he was, he went to Temple, and he was kind of like, is he a linebacker or an edge rusher? And you would think he was the 7th pick of the draft for... he was that high.
Oh, he was?
13,
sorry.
I
didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he's way up there.
They're all first-rounders.
They're all first-rounders. And then, like, not just first-rounders. They're talking about, like, this is one of the best edge guys in football in Reddick. Quinnen Williams is definitely one of the best D tackles in football. Right? We've talked about their secondary and what they got there, and they got the addition of Chuck Clark and all that. I think the big thing is all with the Jets, and the big question is all about Rodgers form. Will he stand in the pocket and throw the ball and they can protect him? That's what you question. That's all it is. You've heard me say it, right? I questioned before he turned his Achilles tendon, will he stand in there and make throws down the football field? Will he do that? That's going to be the big question. Now, they've made the adjustments on the offensive line. Can he do that? Can they protect him long enough to where he can let Garrett Wilson and company work downfield, Mike Williams work downfield, and make big throws? I think that's by far my burning question with the Jets.
Interesting.
And what conspiracy theory Rodgers might think of next?
Well, that's gonna come out. We don't even need to question that. That's gonna happen. JD's burner.
Yeah.
His burning question is this. So the burner has a burning. Have the Jets really addressed the receiver issues this offseason? We are one Garrett Wilson injury away from Mike Williams off an ACL, Alan Lazard, and a third-round gadget receiver as our receiving core. Now, first of all, I'm taking great offense to the third-round gadget for one of my man crushes, Malachi Corley. I love Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. He's not just a gadget guy. You will love him very soon. He will run people over. And I saw Joe Douglas on some podcast was like sitting
Guest
down,
house
talking like for a minute and a half on Malachi Corley and all the things he does and how it's going to translate to the NFL. So
he's tough. He's physical.
More than a magic.
He's going to run block. He's going to catch the ball over the middle.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to get some toss sweeps, some speed sweeps, some reverses. He's a weapon. He's a weapon, and that, like to your point, that's not a gadget guy in the NFL anymore. That's like you need to have that in your offense guy. Like everybody's got to have that guy.
Rashee Rice. I mean, Debo Samuel at the best level.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to have that guy. It's just part of the defenses they're too good. Some of the players are too good. They overplay things. You got to have some curveballs, and that's where Corley can come into effect. Xavier Gibson. Let's not forget about him and see what he continues to look like as a slot receiver as we go forward. But I hear the question there. I don't think it's like crazy to think that. I know. Yeah, they could probably use a little more proven depth here, but you can't have it all. Garrett Wilson's never really been injured. He's young, so you got to worry about that, and we'll see where it goes. But, damn, as it stands, you talk about him and Mike Williams and then Corley or Gibson, to go along with that, and an Alan Lazard, who still is a good NFL wide receiver. Well, they got plenty of good to go around there.
So one more team to talk about. Not as much good to go around for the New England Patriots. Haven't been able to say. We couldn't say that for like 2 decades, and now we really get to say it all the time. And we rub it in to our Boston friends, right? Because they've had a good life for a long time. Bruins have been good here for a while.
The
Red Sox were good.
Right.
It's just like they need to have this downtime. Humble them.
Yeah.
The offense around Drake Maye. So that's Ted J. Rowland's question. What is the ceiling for the Patriots this season? 2 quarterbacks in the draft with other much-needed offensive players seems good, but I don't hear many analysts raving about New England's picks here. So, overall, I think, offensive ceiling for them, because they've just had so little in the way of offensive talent the last couple of years here.
That's where I like the Jalen Polk, right? He's a lesser version of our Rome Odunze. Right, but what I mean by that is that, maybe not quite as physically gifted, but NFL-ready day one receiver, right? That's where I think that's a great pick and can do it all. And, it might not be superstar wow plays and all of that, but there's going to be great route running. He's got good size, right? And there's no glaring spot to his game where you go, oh, he can't do that. He can do it all. I think the good thing with them is they got a little bit of at receiver, a little bit of everything, right? I don't look at it to go, oh, wait, there's one guy there that I go, oh, wow, that's scary. But by committee, when you take on, hey, Kendrick Bourne, solid, good NFL wide receiver. Jalen Polk, like we talked about. Juju Smith-Schuster. Tyquan Thornton, of course, does have speed, and there's talent there, right? The KJ Osborne trade, definitely one of the 3 best players on their receiving or on their roster at receiver, right? Can a Keyshawn, Butte from LSU 2 years ago in the draft, we talked about him a lot. Can he pop up, right? I think that's the big thing. They got Javon Baker. A lot of people thought he would be drafted higher than that. Right? So there's a lot there that they have some potential to work with. Now, does it blow you out of the water and you go, oh, wow, they're scary? No. But you go, damn, they're all kind of good. There's a lot of good there, right? I think that tight end, not bad. O-line, I think that's really the big question. How good can the O-line be? And can the O-line be good enough that it can, protect Jacoby Brissett or Drake Maye when it's all said and done? But to me, well, go ahead.
It's not usually a good sign when you draft a 3rd-round tackle and he's penciled in to be a starter at left tackle in Caden Wallace. Nothing against Caden Wallace.
Kid from Penn State.
Right. But wasn't even their best offensive lineman.
No, exactly right. But I think that speaks to kind of where they are as a football team right now. That's definitely an issue for them. The other thing I was going to add on, well, I think the other burning question is, how competitive to me does this quarterback thing become? Right? Jacoby Brissett is big, and he can stand in there and throw the ball, and he knows how to play quarterback, and he's been in the NFL. This is not something where I look at and just go, oh, Drake Maye will be given this year. In fact, I feel like it's really – they had to say there's a competition because he was the number 3 pick, but I think in their heart of hearts they know that Jacoby Brissett will win this and that they want Drake Maye to sit for the year. That's what I would want. Definitely. I don't think they're – and then, two, is their offensive line good enough to even put him in a support system and make him feel good to where he can grow, right? So those would be the questions you have about that.
So this would be my question with Drake Maye. And you've said that. It's like he's a guy that has to sit. A guy who has to sit is not the number 3 pick in the draft.
Right.
And you've made that clear, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. But you can also look at it the other way. And like a guy like Trey Lance, right? He just had a long way to go.
Yeah.
But it's just like, the only way he's going to get there is by playing, too.
Yeah.
And like the Patriots don't have super high expectations next year. So
why not throw him out?
Yeah, what's the balance between putting a guy out there and letting him learn on the job and getting that great experience to like protecting him and keeping him behind the scenes?
What I would worry, like you want to make sure the team and the offense is a good enough spot to give your guy some positivity, some things that are going to be like, hey, they're going to work out good. Not every week's going to be great, but we're in a spot where we feel like we can succeed and we can game plan around this young quarterback and still make him feel like, hey, you're going in the right direction. You're the future of all that.
Right.
Instead of the Zach Wilson situation, let's just say.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's just like, wow, we're not really good, but we drafted you this high. And we can't protect you. We got nobody to throw to. We can't run the ball, right? And, oh, shit, it's just one fucking disaster after another. And slowly but surely we're ruining you. And now the media's jumping on and the fans are jumping on.
Yeah.
And that's what you worry about, that it gets to a point of, like, the guy's swimming so much, all of a sudden now he's forgetting about footwork. He's forgetting about mechanics. Damn, he's not even reading the play right because he's feeling and seeing ghosts and feeling the pressure from everybody. Yeah. That would be the negative.
In ways, it probably happened to Mac Jones, their last quarterback they took in the first round.
It did a little bit.
It
was weird. It happened. It happened in year 2, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
But because of what they did there, and he slowly but surely crumbled. And I don't blame him because it's tough to succeed in the environment he was. But I think that's the big thing is you want him to play. Your point, me, I'm a guy that's play the guy. He's got to get out there. That's the most important thing. But you want it to be out there where, okay, he's not getting killed every week and he can have some success and there's some things that we can grow with and get better with instead of just like, oh man, every week is just he's getting killed, he's throwing interceptions, it's bad, and he's going to go into the offseason like, can I play in this league? I don't even know. Am I good enough to play? Right? That's what you got to worry about.
So for the good of him, he should not play this year. For the good of our podcast, he probably should. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. We're looking at if we want good things for us on this podcast, no, we're never rooting against anyone. Chris has made that clear. In fact, maybe you throw a couple bucks on him to lead the rookie pass throwers in yards this season. DraftKings has the most pass yards by a rookie quarterback odds. And surprising nobody, you got Caleb Williams number 1 there, plus 100, and Jaden Daniels. I mean, this is almost chalk, except for Michael Penix, who is not expected to play. But Drake Maye is in the middle there.
Yep, and I would not bet on that.
I would
not bet on there either.
Where's the value? Is it just sometimes the value is the favorite?
Yeah, no, the favorite would still probably be my favorite bet there, right? But when you go by passing yards,
I mean, we know Bo Nix is. I mean, he's probably the guy.
He's probably the guy, and I think J.J. McCarthy will be the guy.
Okay.
Right. Well, here's what I am. Like, I'm with you. I think Bo Nix will definitely be the guy. J.J. I think is a little bit like, hey, Sam's got some talent, right?
Yeah.
It's not just going to be like, oh wow, he walks in the door and just dominates Sam Darnold. That's not going to be the case. There's a reason he was the number 3 pick, right? But I will say, if McCarthy gets in. We know that offense and how they throw and they attack down the field, and he fits that. I could see him being a guy that, throws for a lot of yards, and they can protect. So they'll have time to let JJ get down the field and tear you up that way, and Addison and all that. So McCarthy would be my value bet, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right,
Caleb's would be the guy I would lead in. but McCarthy is the value.
Yeah, Bears historically have not had
I know, it sounds
quarterbacks
weird,
with a lot of
right?
yards,
Right?
so
Yeah.
that would be the one, like the historical reference there for the Bears. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NBA as well.
And during the playoffs, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
You can download the app, use the promo code Unbuttoned when you sign up.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
As always, be careful out there when you're betting your own money. Don't bet too much.
Be careful.
Stay
Be
within your
careful.
budget.
That's
Just
right.
keep it fun out there. Do it to enjoy the games.
Yep.
And if you have a problem, call Chris. We'll put his number on here legally. We have to
and
do
I'm going
that.
to go, are you kidding me? You bet on that game, right? I know the two coaches of that game, and they don't even know how that game's going to play out. Are you kidding me?
I don't mind you betting all your money, but just don't bet it on that
That's
game.
what I have to say to my brother-in-law every now and then.
Yeah.
I have a brother-in-law like that, right? Rob Pulio, all right? Calling him out. Yep, put him out there.
Yeah.
He
This is what needs to happen sometimes.
He'll bet me before a preseason game. He'll call me.
Yeah.
What do you think? Who do you like tonight?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Robert, are you seriously going to bet money? Well, we don't even know who's playing in this. You don't even know. You're not even know these people on here tonight. It's preseason game 1. It's a bunch of third and fourth stringers. I don't know them, and I do this for a living.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that I've had that talk. Like,
so what's his Robert?
Robert.
Robert. So Robert, next time you got to think about it because you could be called out on this podcast.
Yeah.
That's the best intervention that you can do there.
Yeah.
Is just
Bam.
Public humiliation on the Chris Simms
The only
Unbuttoned
problem
podcast.
is none of his friends or family listen to this podcast, so he'll never hear about it. So screw you, Robert. Hey, but back to the Patriots too.
Oh, what? Wow.
Just back there.
We're going back.
quick.
I thought I closed the book on one more thing. I think we still maybe have
Brought
it.
to you by Columbo and Peacock, the never-ending contract.
Scramble to get that together.
There's no questions on that damn defense. There he is. There's our guy.
Yeah. Cool.
There's no questions on D. I mean, they're D. When you look at the Patriots, I mean, when you just get into like corner, right, secondary play overall, D tackle, right? They just gave Christian Barrymore some money, right, which they should have. I mean, Barrymore, I feel bad for. He'd be one of the best defensive tackles in football. He's got a knee condition that is going to, like, he can't practice and he can only play, right? But you talk
the best.
him,
That's the best knee condition to ever have.
Keon White, I know.
Sorry, can't practice.
I know,
Can't play.
right? Keon White, how good he looked last year, right? Devon Godshaw is still a damn good player.
Love Matthew Judon from GVSU.
Exactly. Judon was hurt last year. He's back, right? So that to me is where we got back into it. That O-line, the quarterback thing, and can they run the ball, right? Can they do that? It's that to me was the big thing. Because the last thing with the Patriots is, out of all the people they have on offense, like Ramondre Stevenson seems like the scariest guy, at least to me. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
He's the scariest guy. Now, just like, I don't think you want him to be the scariest guy. Somebody at the receiver position has to jump into that conversation. Mm-hmm. And who's that going to be? That's all I got to say.
That was one more thing brought to you by Columbo, streaming on Peacock every season.
Yeah.
Every season exclusively on Peacock.
What more?
It's a great show. It's a great show. Go back and watch it.
Yeah.
It was a mystery. It was like it
So
started
you watch
it all.
shows, you just don't watch movies.
I do watch shows. There's one show I'm watching right now, Manifest. It's about a plane that disappeared for 5 years, and they came back, and no one aged on that plane. They came back 5 years later, and
that was
an
old NBC show, wasn't it?
Was it? Was it NBC? There we go. I'm staying in the family.
Know your company.
I'm staying in the family here. It's pretty good so
That's
far.
what you're watching?
Yeah, I like stuff like that. We watched Blacklist. We watched Blacklist for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, Zoolander, no. There was a horse in the also eligible list.
So what happened to the plane? Like, it flew away and they came back. What happened?
It was a
you don't know
storm.
yet? They're just going to string you along for years and years?
Time traveled, we think. Something happened. They all came back. They didn't age.
Okay.
I had no idea that time passed. It's pretty cool, actually. I liked it so far. Mugatu wasn't also eligible in the Kentucky Derby, and we're in the trailer. Everyone's there. We're having a meet. Like Mike Tirico's there. Like all our bosses are there. It's this giant trailer, and I just go, we're doing the pronunciations of all the horses, and I was like, hey, how do you pronounce this horse's name? And they go, what? You never seen Zoolander? And I go, no, I haven't. They go, are you serious? The whole trailer was just like berating me for not watching Zoolander.
No, you're an embarrassment to everybody between 35 and 45. You really are. I can't even believe it. I don't know. I want to send a GoPro camera home with you and know what you do. I don't know what you do all day.
I've researched for the Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast because I'm doing it 2 times a week, every week.
There's something more to it there, because did you hear that? It was he did that like.
No, I don't know. I get home, I watch sports, I'll put a baseball game on, I'll scroll through Twitter.
Yeah.
We hang out with the kids.
Yeah.
Like, we just don't do the movie. We just rarely do the movie
I'm getting
thing.
less and less movie thing myself.
Yeah.
I don't have time to sit on the couch for 2.5 hours straight.
Right. That's
only
the thing.
sports. Only sports to do that.
I want to have options. Like to dip. Yeah, sports you can dip in and dip
Yeah.
out. Go to like I don't want to be locked in
I
for
hear you.
an hour and a half.
It's hard sometimes. Yep, I hear you there. All right. Well, hopefully you were locked in here for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, we appreciate you doing it, but hopefully you were doing other things as well. Yeah.
But you know where to find us. We're going to go NFC Wednesday. Same kind of drill, right? Send in questions, burning question, whatever you want to do. We're going to break down these teams a little bit now that we got a little bit better picture and feel for them after the draft and free agency. You know where to find us. Subscribe, rate, review. NFC Burning Questions Wednesday, followed by Monday. Dun, dun, dun. Quarterback countdown. 35 through 40. Chris Simms, quarterback countdown.
Ranking dudes.
Here we go. Right. And then Ahmed will do his favorite next out of quarterbacks off of that. Okay.
I think that's probably what it has to be now.
I think we got to do that. I do. Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. Be good. Come see us Wednesday. Everybody be safe out there. Peace out, homies. Clap it up.
Clap it up.
Yo, 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 what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off-season, but there's no off-season with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.